Hi everyone, I'm Scott Sharkey's Floral and Greenhouses, and today I just want to take a little bit of time here and do a short video on starting vegetable plants at home. And specifically what I want to talk about today is starting tomato plants. A lot of people start tomato plants at home, and I just want to show you an easy way to do it, and really I want to focus on the problem of when they get real tall and spindly. So lots of people say that they start tomato plants at home, but they have a lot of trouble. So let's start basic with what I do. I'm just starting these few plants in my house, and the reason that I'm starting them now is because I like to have some show-off plants in our greenhouse. When we open up, I like to have a couple great big tomato plants with tomatoes on them when we get open up in our greenhouses in May. And obviously, it is not time for us that live in the upper Midwest. It's not time to start your vegetable plants yet. So I'm getting an early start on it because I have a greenhouse, and I'll be firing up that greenhouse within the next month here. And so I have somewhere to go with these. But for you at home, if you're in the upper Midwest, not time to start your vegetable plants yet. It's end of January, it's too soon. Now for you in the lower Midwest or those southern states, it might be time for you to start your vegetable plants. We typically can't even put our plants in the ground until June 1st. For a lot of you, that's way late. You're already well into the season. But for us, especially last year, 2021, we got stung pretty bad. After June 1st, we had not a frost, but a hard freeze. It was like 20 degrees, and pretty much everybody got wiped out. So you really have to kind of calculate that and figure out what's best for your area, and then kind of work back from that of when you're going to start your actual seeds. So for those of you that are starting tomato plants indoors, this is how you do it. So I have these. They've been up for at least a week now, and they're looking pretty good. They're nice and green. I like to see that. They're spindly though. It's hard. When you're indoors and you're inside, it's really hard to fight that, that you just don't have as much sun. Now I started these in our kitchen. We have a nice south-facing glass window, and we get a lot of sunlight in our kitchen, but it's nothing like a greenhouse. Okay, they get real spindly. They're searching for that sun, and they stretch. Especially tomatoes, they stretch and they get just this real pencil necky and kind of wimpy. So to start off, how I started these, I have good soil in this 6-inch pot, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you know that I preach all the time on good quality soil. You got to start with good quality soil. So I've got this filled up with good quality soil, and then the top layer of that I have germinating mix. And so what germinating mix is, it's a very, very light, fluffy, almost airy soil, and that makes it very easy for when those seeds sprout. It's very easy to push through. The rest of the soil is a little heavier, a little more dense, so it's best to start your seeds with germinating mix. You're just going to have a much better transition and a lot better success with a germinating mix, because those seeds can push through that soil really easily versus the rest of this I have as just regular soil. Now I have the rest of it as regular soil because what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pushing these down. I want to get these roots down into the regular soil. So I really only need a little bit of germinating mix for the first part of it. And if you're just going to leave them in the pots, then you might as well fill this up with soil and just the top layer with the germinating mix for that immediate when they pop up. So I've got these 6-inch pots filled with my soil. I went through and I put 3 in each because I know that I'm actually going to take these out and I'm going to transplant them later on. So it doesn't matter for right now. I'm going to go ahead and transplant these. But you can see as they get tall, and I did go through and make sure if you're doing different varieties of tomatoes, be sure to mark them because you won't remember. So I've got 2 different types here, so I went through and marked them, and I have the tags. But you can see that these are real wimpy. I mean, they're real thin, real kind of gangly. They're doing fine, but they're just stretching. They're looking for the sun. So the way to fight that, or the way to correct that, is tomatoes will develop roots all along the stem. So what I want to do is I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to kind of show you. I'm just going to go around them like this. I'm going to go, just going to push it right down, try to get it almost down to where the leaves are, and I can go a little bit further. So I'm almost going to bury him like right up to his neck. So just where those leaves are sticking out, I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to kind of work that soil back in and around it. He's going to develop roots along the his stem, and it's going to just make a much hardier tomato. So as he starts growing again, he's going to get thicker and stronger. So that's what happens to most people when they're starting tomato plants at home. They're all telling me that my tomatoes are, they're like this, and they're just real spindly. Well, drive them down deep into the soil, and then they'll thicken up, they'll grow roots, and it just makes a nice, sturdier, healthier plant. Another question that I get is when do you start feeding fertilizer to the plants? And these have already had our Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer a few times. I just mix up a really weak batch, and it's a diluted about half strength, so kind of a 2-to-1 with the water to fertilizer. So they're already getting the fertilizer mix. It won't burn them as long as you have a diluted mix. And like I said, these are only a week old, and they've already had fertilizer twice. So you can go through and give them fertilizer pretty much right off the bat. So another thing I want to show you though for starting seeds at home is will really absolutely help you, and this is a heated mat, and that gives the seeds that germinating heat that it needs, and the mat just stays about 80 to 85 degrees, and it gives that warmth from the bottom up. So you water them, get this consistently moist all the way through, and then you have the heated mat, and that gives that heat all the time. It's always 80, 85 degrees, and that will really help pop those seeds and get everything to germinate. It'll give you a much higher percentage of germination rate. It's really, I don't want to say it's critical, but it's going to help you a lot versus just having, say, this set in the sunlight and it's warm all day long, but then, hey, at night the sun goes down, and now this plant, the soil is kind of cool and wet, and it drops back down to maybe 65 degrees or 60 degrees depending on where it's at. It really needs, the seeds really need to have that consistent 80, 85 degrees, and that will help. I mean, these popped right up, so it didn't take long at all. It was like 2-3 days, and these had germinated, and we saw them. Now, a mat like this, you can find them on Amazon. They're like $20, maybe $15, $20. So they're pretty cheap, and it's just going to help you a lot. And I put mine on top of my refrigerator, because the refrigerator, the outside of it is metal, and I just need a small space, and we didn't have anything sitting on top of a refrigerator. So I went ahead and put my tomatoes up there, and they're just kind of out of the way until they sprouted. And then once we saw some life, then I put them down. I put them on the floor where they're in the sunlight during the day. So, but that will really help make things a lot easier for getting everything to germinate. Another thing that I like, just for mess wise, I like using these little trays, and that way when I do water them, and I was trying to make sure that this is all consistently moist, the water's not dripping all over my refrigerator. So these little trays really will help you. So that's in a nutshell, that's the solution to your tomatoes getting kind of tall and gangly. Just push them down into the soil, and they'll thicken right up, and they'll become a much nice sturdy tomato plant, and that buys you that time until you can get them outside into your garden. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.